Hi! It has been a while since I've been on here. For those of you who are new, hello, my name is Gabby. I make videos on here sometimes, but I'm glad to be here. The reason for my absence is because I got a full-time job as a 4th grade teacher, which is like, I love it, it's amazing, but I don't sleep a whole bunch. So that's why I've been gone for a long time, but I've been watching videos and I've been seeing the lovely messages that you've been leaving for me, and thank you, all is well. That being said, I have been able to read a whole bunch because I have a 35-minute commute to and from my job. So I'm in the car for about an hour a day, which means that I have lots of audiobook time. And let me tell you, audiobooks have been the best thing that I have rediscovered this year. So with the longest intro ever, I am so excited to be here for my Yep, that happened. This is my favorite video to film every single year. I love watching other people's best books of the year videos because it just gives such a great insight into what they've read and to where they are in their reading journey. It's amazing all around. I am so excited to share these books with you. Before I go into the books, I want to talk a little bit about the stats of my year. This year, I was able to read 95 books. Actually, by the end of the day, I might be able to finish 96 because I'm in the middle of a graphic novel. A third of those books that I read were children's or middle grade books because I was preparing for my job. Another like 1/5 of those were graphic novels, but I read some really chunky and really meaty books this year, and I don't know, maybe it was just like throughout the summer and the anxiety of like trying to look for a job. I was like, you know what I need to do? Read. But I am so grateful that I was able to have that time. This is the most that I've read since like 2013. Of the 95 books that I was able to read this year, there were 6 standouts. Once again, this year, the majority of the books that I read were 3-star books, which I don't know if I need to recultivate my reading list or something, but I just have read so many books that are just kind of like, meh, I read it. Will I read it again? No, but meh. I want to read books that make me just fangirl to the moon and think critically and just question everything, and I've been really having a hard time doing that. Maybe it's because I'm trying to read all the YA books that I put into my list when I was like 17. Who knows? This is the longest intro. Let's just get to the books that I read this year that I love. The book that comes in number 6 is Food Rules by Michael Pollan. This was actually the very first book that I read this year. So last year, exactly on this day, New Year's Eve, me and my mom were waiting for the ball to drop, and they have like this hour where you're just waiting for all the programs to come back. So we decided to watch this documentary with Michael Pollan, the author of this book, and it was just talking about food and the elements, and like I just really loved the way that he talked about food and the way that humans should intake food. This year really was focusing on mindful eating and eating more plant-based. So that was like the start of this for me, and it was just like a really great book. There was just a whole bunch of rules that he had that if you follow these rules, you're going to have a healthier eating lifestyle, and that is by his definition and the people who follow his philosophy of eating. So if you don't follow his philosophy of eating, it might not be the best for you, but I personally do. So it was just a really great book for me to read at the beginning of the year and super inspirational as well. So Food Rules by Michael Pollan was my number 6 first read of the year. My number 5 book of the year is Little Moments of Love by Katana Chetwynd, I believe that's how you say it. This was like the cutest little graphic novel that this girl wrote of just little moments that she had with her boyfriend. Like moments that she was like, no one else is going to ever understand this, but then she put them out there and other people were like, oh my gosh, you do that too. Ugh, it was just so cute, and I'm a hopeless romantic, and just seeing other people happy in that way just makes me so happy. So reading that was just like my whole fangirl heart just reached out and gave myself a hug and all the other people around me a hug, because it was just Holy mother of pearl and ice. There are people moving next to me and apparently they dropped something down the stairs. Everyone should read it. It takes like an hour to read and it's gonna be the best hour because it's just, oh, so cute. The number 4 book on my list, another graphic novel, is Everyone's an Alien When You're an Alien Too by Johnny Sun. This actually was a book that I finished the day before yesterday because I was trying to get in that 95th book and I wanted something quick to read. It was one of the best things that I could have picked up at the end of the year. This graphic novel is a story about a little alien who comes down to Earth to study humans and to see what humans are. When the alien gets here, they meet up with a whole bunch of creatures from Earth that aren't really humans, but that alien doesn't know that, and we just get to see this alien's interaction with these humans. This is like a cute little philosophical mind squash. Like, I don't understand how such philosophy and questioning can be put into something that is so simple, but I read this twice because I read it through the first time for the story and then the second time for just trying to understand all the little bits and bobs that were amazing. I don't know if I'm even giving correct words and verbiage to how wonderful this book is. It's just one that you have to experience because it was so good. It was so good, and it's one that I want to give to all the people in my life. That one is my number 4. My number 3 book is a series, and it is the Lux Series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. These books were super popular, like back in the olden days in BookTube, when it didn't matter what kind of camera you had or anything like that, and you could just have like an unedited video that you would put up and it would just be you rambling on for years and years. Yeah, back in those days, this book was like blowing up. And I put the first book of the series onto my TBR shelf and I was like, I am just not going to do this because it just sounds so extra. The reason why I thought it was extra was because this is about alien romance, like paranormal romance where a girl falls in love with an alien. And in my olden days, paranormal romance was my thing. If it had anything to do with like non-humans falling in love with humans, I would read it, I would devour it, I would love it. So at the beginning of this year, right before I went to Greece, I was looking for books to check out on my iPad through my library, and they had this, and I was like, okay, because I was trying to get rid of stuff on my TBR shelf. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to give it 10 pages, and then when I hate it, I'm going to stop and move on with my life. Well, I read a lot more than 10 pages in one night. I read the whole book in the first night. You think like you grow away from your paranormal trash days, but then you find the correct paranormal trash and it just comes out again, and it's just kind of like, where have you been, my dear friend? I think that a part of the reason why I like this series so much was just because it was so nostalgic for me, because honestly, all I read when I was 13, 14, 15 was paranormal romance, and like I kind of shunned that part of me for a really long time, and so reading it was just kind of like, hey, this is a part of you and it's nothing to be ashamed of. These books were a really good read for me this year, and I'm just really grateful that I was able to pick them up at the right time. The Lux series is my number 3 book. My number 2 book of the year is one that I loved so much that I made my roommate read it, and then I listened to the audiobook version of it. So I've actually read this book twice this year, and the book is The Case Quotient by Helen Hoang. I hope that's how you say her name. This year I really threw myself into adult romance because I was like, you know what? I can't deal with these 16 and 17-year-olds falling in love. I am 22 years old, gosh dang it, let me read about adults. And I definitely read about some adult stuff, and it was very good. The Case Quotient follows a woman who is very regimented and loves her work. She is autistic and she just knows which way she likes to do things. However, her mom is pressuring her to have kids and to do things. She's 30, so she's like, I'm kind of getting up there, but I know that I have a certain way that I want to do things. So she decides to hire an escort to help her figure out the things that she needs to know about being in a sexual relationship. And the story ensues. I really like this book and other books that give a highlight into something and representation to a community that might not get as much representation, because you are able to see how someone is different than you, but then you're also able to see those similarities as well. The main character's name is Stella, and I found myself finding some similarities between Stella and myself, and I was like, I had no idea that someone else thought the same exact way that I do. So it just gave me like some connection to another person, but then at the same time you are like able to see how the world challenges them differently than it may challenge you. So I love this book, obviously, because I read it once, squealed my life away, watched my roommate read it, squealed my life away, and then listened to it on my way to school. And the #1 book of 2018 is Eating Animals by Jonathan Safran Foer. Never in my life did I think that my best book of the year would be a nonfiction book about factory farms and vegetarianism, but here we are. Jonathan Safran Foer also wrote the book Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, and this is a nonfiction book in which he looks into factory farming in the United States and what that does to our environment and our bodies, and what eating meat does to the environment and our bodies. A little background, I have been flexitarian, which means that I would eat meat maybe like once or twice a week for the past 3 years of my life. When I read this book, I kind of wanted to just understand a little bit more about what meat does to your body. After reading this book, I made the full switch over to vegetarian, and I've actually been vegetarian since August 1st. And this book just really opened my eyes to a lot of things. I always told people that I couldn't be vegetarian. After reading this book, it just really made it clear that for me, that was something that I really wanted to do. Vegetarianism and veganism and any type of dietary change is a really, really personal thing. And so personally, this book just really touched me and opened my eyes to some things that I think that I was having a hard time seeing beforehand. But I'm really glad that I read it, because I am so happy with my choice. This book not only affected my year, it's going to affect my life, because I don't really have the plans of not being a vegetarian again. Who knows? My life could change and things and circumstances could change, but as of right now, I just think that it just really made me think and open my eyes. It was hard to read. Some of it was graphic, some of it pointed out some really disgusting things. That's what I needed to read because it was the reality. Yeah, so I didn't think that this book would be my favorite book of the year, but I've been surprised, and I'm really happy with the surprise that I got. So that's it. That's it for my books of 2018. As for this channel, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I'll post when I can. I love interacting with all of you. It's just that with my schedule, I cannot put up a video every week. Thank you so much to those of you who have stuck with me since day one, those beginning months where it was just rough. Without y'all, honestly, this channel wouldn't be what it is today. So I am just so grateful for each and every single one of you, new and old. It's been a pleasure to be here with you. This year has been filled with many blessings and accomplishments, and next year is also going to be really wonderful. So I hope you all have a wonderful, bliss-filled day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.